The Air 1S is the latest handheld in the Air lineup from AYANEO. It is a tiny but powerful handheld with a fantastic OLED screen, and it has filled for me a space that was previously occupied by the PS Vita initially and the Nintendo Switch later. Let me explain. The PS Vita was for a very long time my go-to indie handheld of choice. I played countless of hours of games like Spelunky, Guacamelee and The Binding of Isaac on this device. The indie support for the Vita was fantastic, while official support from Sony was at best meh. By the way, this PS Vita doesn't turn on anymore, but I have a replacement battery on its way to me. So if you want to see a video on how to fix the Vita and what to use it for in 2023, write a comment down below. Over time, the Nintendo Switch took over as my go-to indie handheld of choice. Nearly every indie game released today will come to Switch. However, it's often the case that indie games come to Switch a little later than they do on Steam. This is where the Air 1S comes in. Thanks to its small size, absolutely gorgeous OLED panel and the powerful AMD 7840U chip, it has quickly become the handheld I have on me at most times. I mainly play indie games when on the move because they are often quicker to pick up and you can play a round or two in under 30 minutes, and the Air 1S is perfect for that. But that doesn't mean the Air 1S can't play AAA games, because it can. It uses, after all, the same chipset as its bigger brother, the AYANEO 2S. And if you remember from my review, links down below, the 2S is to me, for now at least, the king of handhelds. But back to the Air 1S. Because of its smaller size and therefore smaller cooling and battery life, the Air 1S can't ultimately reach the same power profile as the 2S. While the 2S can go up to 33 watts, even if going that high doesn't make for stable performance, the Air 1S is limited to a max of 20 watts TDP when powered by battery. When you connect the Air 1S to a wall outlet with the batteries at 100%, it can go up to 25 watts, but I must admit that the cooling quickly gets overwhelmed and the fans spin like crazy. In general, the fans are perceptible, but it never gets annoying except for this power profile. At a normal 10 to 20 watts range, if you don't wear headphones, you can set the speakers to around 50% volume and won't hear the fans anymore. Talking of the speakers, AYANEO went for bottom-firing speakers that are okay. They are fine. They aren't great, but not unusable either. They are just fine. They won't win a prize, and you will certainly not use the AYANEO as your ghetto blaster next time you take a train or a bus. Like every other handheld in the AYANEO lineup, the Air 1S uses Hall sensing joysticks, and they are great, along with the membrane D-pad. The D-pad feels good, but I still haven't learned how to play fighting games, so I have to quote my friend Russ from Retro Game Corps, and what he said is, the AYANEO Air 1S's D-pad is Hadoukenable, but not Shoryukenable. So, if you're into Street Fighter, you know what that means. If not, you probably don't care about the D-pad too much. As for the ABXY buttons, I find them a tad small. I haven't opened up the Air 1S yet, but looking at them from the outside, it feels like there was enough space to add bigger buttons, if only by a millimeter. This doesn't mean they are bad, they are just a little bit on the smaller size. I have normal sized hands with slender fingers, or at least I believe so they don't bother me too much, but if that's a problem for you, your mileage may vary. The Air 1S also has your typical left and right bumpers and triggers, including a special button on each side. They are similar, if not the same as those used in the 2S. The Air 1S also has two USB-C ports, one on the top and one on the bottom, and I still believe every handheld should adopt this. It opens up way more options and makes for better experience. For example, you can connect an external drive preloaded with ROMs while still charging. The Air 1S also has a microSD slot with a flap for dust protection, a headphone jack, dual microphones and a fingerprint sensor / power button combo. So basically, it's your typical handheld that has good controls and will feel good in your hands. However, depending on your grip on the device, you might not like its form factor. Its back grips aren't as pronounced as on the Steam Deck or its bigger brother the 2S. I personally hold every device with my pointer and middle finger and rest it on the ring fingers. That grip works perfectly for a device like this. Unfortunately, though this is a problem with every handheld but the Steam Deck, I have my pinky and my ring fingers fall asleep after more extended sessions. It doesn't always happen, and I can remedy it depending on how I position my elbows on the cushion, but this happens on the Air 1S too. One of two killer features of the Air 1S is its screen. The 6.5-inch OLED screen is fantastic. Nothing compares to it, and if you put it next to a Steam Deck, ROG Ally or other AYANEO devices, you'll quickly see the difference. The colors pop much more, the blacks are more profound, and it's just a beauty to look at. It does use a portrait panel rotated in the firmware, so it comes with a few of the issues that come with such a panel. For example, in the opening sequence of the Wind Waker HD, you'll have vertical tearing issues. They are gone in the gameplay, but can appear in cutscenes. Talking of emulation, whatever you throw at this device, it'll handle it, except maybe for some of the more performance-hungry Switch games, though frankly, they don't even run on the Nintendo Switch. One thing that the Air 1S does that makes me love it is how easy it is to pick up and play. This is thanks to AYANEO's newest Airspace 2 launcher. Airspace 2 is fantastic. It makes the admittedly mediocre Windows on a handheld experience much better. I plan to make a video about Airspace 2 in the future, but let me explain this. Airspace 2 comes with a few crucial enhancements for the device like this. For one, it finally has fantastic smart TDP settings, so while you can set the Air 1S to TDPs between 6 and 20 watts, I don't bother changing the settings at all. I set it to smart TDP and let it do its thing. And it is good at that. Wind Waker HD runs at 11 to 13 watts depending on the action and has an entirely stable 30 FPS. As I mentioned, it's only in Switch emulation where you might have to set things manually. In indie games, the chip lives between 6 and 13 watts TDP depending on what happens on the screen. This smart TDP setting makes for a much better experience. It's just set and forget, and you can quickly jump in and change the settings to manual for the occasional moments where it might get overwhelmed. Airspace 2 also comes with its own integrated launcher, and I am surprised that I use it quite often. It's not as complete as Steam's Steam Deck inspired big picture mode, but for a quick play, it's good enough. Development on Airspace 2 has not ended yet, and there are a few slightly annoying bugs. For example, games register your input if you change anything in the quick overlay. So if you want to turn on the performance dashboard, your character in game might have moved a little. I've reported these issues and AYANEO assured me they are working on it. There's basically a new update every other day, so they are definitely working on it. But the main question is, who is the Air 1S for? At an admittedly salty price of $799 for early birds, it's only for a few people. But if you want something to complement your handheld collection that is small but powerful enough for most games, that easily fits into your pocket, and yes, I tried that, and can always be with you, this is it. It's my most used gaming device right now, permanently lives in the Switch case in my backpack, and I have nearly 50 hours in Binding of Isaac alone on this device. It isn't perfect and it's not cheap, but if you, like me, miss what the PS Vita stood for, this will make you happy. If the AYANEO 2S is, like I said in that review, the king of the handheld kingdom, the Air 1S is its prince. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will try to answer them. And while you're down there, click the subscribe button, leave a like, and I will see you in the next video. I'm Kevin for overkill.wtf. Goodbye.